Hello, and I'm back with another guitar tutorial. This time I have chosen something a little bit more trickier than we've done before. So to give you a recap of what we've learnt this term, we have done chords, we have done a couple of riffs. We last time tried something from the grade 1 book. Now what I'm doing is I'm jumping a grade and I'm now looking at the grade 3 book. Now this is the type of standard at least you should be when you are doing GCSE music. So this is more designed at year 9s and year 10s who are a bit more competent guitar players than beginners. So like I said, this is from the Rock School Grade 3 book. Now, this is actually on the list of pieces that the exam board have set that you should be aiming to try and have a go at for GCSE. And the song is called Treasure, and it's by Bruno Mars. Now this song explores a few different guitar techniques, few different styles. Now this is kind of poppy R&B, so it's a very distinctive style of guitar, completely different to playing rock music, as you'll see. And what it uses, which is great, is it starts to use some more complex chords. Now up until now we've used major and minor chords. This starts to investigate major 7 chords, minor 7 chords. I think there's even an add 9 chord in. Now, you don't necessarily have to understand how they work. I mean, it's great if you can, but they give a very different sound. If I give you an example, this is an flat major chord. Alright, so that's just a standard A flat major chord. If I turn it now into an A flat major 7, you can hear the difference in the sound. So A flat major, standard, A flat major 7. A bit of a different sound. And even the same with the minor 7 chords. A standard minor chord. So if this time I play you just like an A flat minor chord. So this is a standard A flat minor chord. Alright. Now if I was to make it a minor 7 chord, it gives it a completely different sound. It goes like this. So it's a bit more jazzier, a bit more kind of on the cusp of not quite sounding right, but sounding right. Right, so what I'll do is I'll explain each chord. I'll tell you what each chord is, just so you know. You don't, again, have to necessarily understand it, like I've already said, but it gives you an idea. It's very repetitive. It has this kind of groove at the beginning, which kind of repeats itself several more times. So instead of just showing you each time when it comes back, I'll just say, go back to this section, and it should make sense. So, the first bit starts off with, if you know Treasure, it starts off with like a kind of like a how can I describe it? Like almost like a drum-led introduction where it's got like a da 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 da. Now what the guitar is playing, it's called an A flat add 9 B flat chord. It's a slash chord. So what a slash chord is it means basically you'll be playing a B flat chord and the bass will be playing an A flat chord. Now it doesn't sound particularly nice, but it works for this. So what you're doing is most of the time you'll be playing something on the top 4 strings. The first chord, like I said, is an A flat add 9 / B flat. So it starts, your middle finger is going to go to the 5th fret of the 3rd string, first finger onto the 4th fret of the 2nd string, and I use my little finger on the 6th fret of the top string. So again, 5th fret on the 3rd, 4th fret on the 2nd string, and on the top 1st string, you use the 6th fret. And what you're doing is this pattern, you're going. Again, if you've heard the song before, it's the very, very kind of famous introduction. So you do 5 of them. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's like a beats rest, and you get to this repeated pattern after that. So it starts off with an A flat major 7 chord. There's lots of different places on the guitar you can play this chord. I mean, I can think of 6 straight away. And this uses one of the kind of different variations of how to play the chord. Now, just so you know, if you were playing a piano and you were playing this type of chord traditionally, you would start with the root note and then move up. So, for example, in an A flat major 7 chord, you had A flat, C, E flat, and a Right, so starts off with the kind of the repeated pattern I was talking about earlier. Now it starts off with an A major 7 chord, and it uses an A major 7 chord in a slightly different place. The great thing about this song is it shows you different places where you can play the chords. You don't just have to stay with your bog standard bottom 3 strings chords, you can start playing around with the strings on even the top 3 strings as this one uses. Now, it starts off with an A flat major 7 chord. Now, to give you a bit of an idea, if you've played the piano before and you're playing like a chord, like just a simple A flat major chord, you'd start at the bottom. The reason I'm doing this, I've got a piano in front of me. You go A flat, C, E flat, and then a G on the top, which is the major 7. However, on the guitar, you can't do that because it's not like a piano. So the chords are, the notes of the chord are in slightly different order. It doesn't change the chord, it just, the notes are moved around to make it work on the guitar. So the first chord, like I said, is an A flat major 7 chord, and it uses the top 3 strings. And it uses almost like an F shape, but just on the bottom 3 strings. So it's third fret, on the first string, 4th fret on the 2nd string, and the 5th fret of the 3rd string. So like I said, kind of like an F or a C shape. And you play that one once. Alright. Then you play it again. Alright, so you're playing it twice. Now this is a big jump because you're then going to take this shape and you're going to go flying up to the 6th fret of the 2nd string and do the same shape. So it'll be fret 6 on the 2nd string, fret 7 on the 3rd string, and fret 8 on the 4th string. Alright, you've got to make sure you just play those 3 strings. So it's a big jump. This is why it is a higher grade, because if it was a lower grade, it'll put the chord right next to it. But this is challenging your string skipping, your shape skipping. So it starts on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th fret on the top 3 strings. Alright, so you can see that jump. Then again, that shape, this time you just slide down 2 frets. So your first finger will be on the 4th fret of the 2nd, the 5th fret of the 3rd, and the 6th fret of the 4th. And you play that. So those last 2 chords, you're just sliding down 2 frets effectively. So if I play those 3 together, okay, so you can hear, if you know the song, the part that is kind of the main part in the song, the main kind of instrumental line in it, this descending part. So again, alright, and it is quite quick. Then after that, you play, you stay on that chord. You play 4, 5, and 6 on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string. And then you go back to the first chord. So you play it once, then you go back to the first chord that you played, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th fret chord. So again, string 1 fret 3, string 2 fret 4, and string 3 fret 5. Let's put those 2 together, it goes. Again, that shape, just moving down and across a string. So if I put that first section together, so this is at the first 2 bars of the properly of the tune. So it starts on 3, 4, 5. It goes. So you can hear that you hold that the 3rd, 4th chord that you're playing. You hold it on for a bit longer. Hold it across the bar. There it is. But if you listen to the backing track or the track that I've included, it will give you an idea. I think one of the most important things is never just go straight in when you're learning something, is to listen to it just to give you more of an idea if you've got the opportunity to do so. Right, so this is a 4-bar riff. So we've done the first 2 bars and now the last 2 bars of this riff. So you've played this already. You've gone. Now, you then go back. So you finished on 3, 4, and 5 on the top 3 strings. You then got to do this big slide again, back up to fret 6 on the 2nd string, fret 7 on the 3rd string, and fret 8 on the 4th string. Now the advantage of this one, you're actually playing this chord 3 times. So it's going like that. So the first one is a bit longer than the other 2 of it. And then there's normal, he likes this chord, this A flat major 7 chord. You go back up to the 3, 4, 5 chord again. So it's 3 on the top string, 4 on the 2nd, 5th on the 3rd string. So that second section goes. Alright, right, so you're just doing 6, 7, and 8 3 times, and jumping up to that chord. And the last bit of this 4-bar riff, again, this is the very repetitive, so effectively you've nearly learned 3/4 of the song straight away from this first bit. So you finished on 3, 4, 5. So you've done this, like I said. All right. So you stay on that chord, and you do 3, 4, and 5 again, just once. It's quick, and then you finish off on 6, 7, 8. So you're going like that. Big jump. That's going to take some practice because you need to know exactly where each finger's going. I always say to people is lead with your first finger, because if your first finger goes down, it normally, all your other fingers will follow. Like that. So if I play the whole thing, this is the riff that goes round and round and round effectively in the song. So it starts, this is the whole thing. So it goes. Okay, that's at proper speed. A bit slower, it goes. Okay. Then after that, the great thing is you just repeat the whole thing again. So you're doing it again. So this is another musical feature that you see in all musics is first and second time bars. They are kind of like the first ending, then the second ending. It's kind of almost an easier way. Instead of writing out extra bars which take up more space, it's just a slightly easier, cheaty way of writing music down. So we've got to the end of the first time bar, sorry, and then we go back to the beginning and we repeat the pattern, the section we've just covered. However, it's kind of, instead of being an exact replica, you're almost doing it 1.5 times. You'll see when I play it now. So it goes from the beginning of, this is the second time through, it goes. So that's the end of the first bit. All right. So then you would normally go, but you don't. So you're missing out the last 2 bars of that pattern, and you go to this part, you go. Now this is, again, if you know the song, this is a very famous part. It's accented by all the instruments, the brass, the drums, the guitar, and everything. And it's an octave shape, basically. It starts, now octaves, if you don't know octaves, then you need to go back over it. It's the same note, just higher. Now this is a very famous octave shape that is used in hundreds of songs. And what it is, you use your first finger on fret 8 on the 4th string, and then you use your little finger on the 11th fret of the 2nd string. Now what you've got to try and do, we don't want to hear that 3rd string that's in between. So you've got to mute it. Now the easiest way to do it is with your fingers. Instead of, we've always talked about curving your fingers around. If you listen to that, you can hear that 3rd string. So for the first time ever, I want you to bring your finger back round, and that will almost mute the string so you don't hear it. And you're doing this rhythmical pattern that you kind of repeat twice. And it's the 8 and 11 octave shape. This is a B flat octave shape. And you're doing it in groups of 2 4 times. So what I mean by that is you're going 1 2. You see that 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Now this is quite hard. I downstroke this. A lot of people would go up up down, but I do it downstroke to keep it, I think, more in time. I think it's just to stop confusing my head because it's not on the beats I would expect it to be, this octave shape. But so you're doing it twice effectively. So you go, if I do it slow, it goes. All right. The actual speed would be. Okay. So if I go from the beginning up to there, you can see how this all fits in case I've not been clear. So we start off with the introduction. So it goes. You've got 4 or 5 of these. the end of the first time bar. Back to the beginning. Here we go. So now we go to the second time bar. And that's how it fits in. Then we get to the chorus section. Now this is taking the chords you've kind of used before, but again, is moving them into different places, different variations of the chords. Now, starts off, it's the same chord progression, but again, like I've said, it uses it in different places. So the first chord, I'll play it for you for once so you can just get an idea. It goes. So it's that rhythm, that pattern that we've already seen rhythmically. Where you're doing da, ba, 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 ba. Really, really important rhythm in this song. Now, what you're going to be doing, you start off on the top 3 strings this time. This section just uses the top 3 strings. And you can get away with playing this with one finger, so we might as well keep it easy. So you're playing fret 8 on the top 3 strings, so it's fret 8 on the 3rd, fret 8 on the 2nd, fret 8 on the top. Alright? And so I just use my first finger. And you play this twice. Alright, just like that. Long, short. Now, this is a tricky chord change. It's what you're going to do is you're going to go from this 8-8-8 to barring the top 2 strings at the 6th fret with your first finger. So fret 6 on the 2nd, fret 6 on the top. And then you use your middle finger on the 3rd string, 7th fret. Like that. So it's a tricky one. That's going to take some practice. So, yeah. Now, this one uses what we call a D shape. Now, if you remember your D chord from previous videos, it takes that shape but then slides it up to the 8th fret. We don't want to play the 4th string because it's not strictly a D, it's just the shape. So for this last chord, it's 8 on the 3rd string, then 8 on the top string. So 8 on 3rd, 8 on the 1st, and then your 3rd finger to make the D shape, 9th on the 2nd. That's actually an F minor 7 chord. Alright, so that pattern goes, starts on the 8-8-8, play it twice, 7-6-6, then that 8-9-8 chord. So quicker. Again, really, you have to be quite competent with your fingers to do this bit. Then the end of the next bit. So you've already played that 8-9-8. You hold that on, and you're playing after that. You're playing the same chord twice, but quite short and staccato, like that. So if I include that with the first bit, it goes like that. Then we take this 8-9-8 chord, and again this D shape, we just slide it across to the 10th fret. So fret 10 on the 3rd, fret 10 on the 1st string, fret 11 in the 2nd. We play that twice, like that. And then after that we go back to that 7-6-6 chord. So it's a big jump, this one. Like I said, tricky. So you play that foot twice, 6 and 6 on the 1st and 2nd string, 7 on the 3rd string. And then you end this you end this section with 8-9-8. So that kind of D chord that we've already looked at. So 8 on the 3rd string, 8 on the 1st string, 9 on the 2nd string. So to put that in context, because there's a lot of numbers, lots of shapes there, I'll do it a bit slower. So it's 10-11-10, 10-11-10, 7-6-6, 8-9-8. Alright. Then, to finish off, you go to this 8-8-8 chord, and then you do 7-6-6. Alright. To kind of almost end that pattern. So if I put that second section together, it goes. Right. And then all you do after that is repeat it. Great stuff. We don't have to learn anything new. Now, so if I play that whole chorusy section with the repeating, you'll see how it fits. So it starts on 8-8-8. Repeat. So we've done a straight repeat of it. Then, this is where it changes a bit. It starts off the same, so it's 8, 8, 8. So you're doing it almost like 2.5 times this pattern. It's 8, 8, 8 on the top 3 strings again. 8 and then 7, 6, 6 again. Then 9, 8, 9. So that's the heart. You're doing half of the pattern for the chorus. And then instead of going up to the 10th fret, you do this lovely chord. I love this chord, which is an A flat add 9 B flat slash chord. Talked about slash chords already. Now this is exactly like an F chord, but just across at the 4th fret. So your first finger will go on the 2nd string 4th fret, 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 3rd, 3rd finger on the 6th fret of the 4th, and then this little finger goes on which is the B flat on the top, which is the 6th fret of the 3rd string. Really nice little chords, slash chords, because they're really jazzy if you want to get that jazzy idea across. And you play that once, hold it on for 4, and then we go back to this octave shape, but we only do it half. So 8 on the 4th, 11 on the 2nd, and you play it just 4 times. Like that. Right, and then we get to section C. Now this is the last new part of the song, I should say. Now this is, I love playing this type of kind of guitar part. This is in a lot of R&B, hip-hop, Motown stuff. James Brown's guitar player used a lot of this in his songs. He's using single notes to kind of give it more of a rhythmical kind of intensity. So now this is based around, it's only based around maybe 3-4 notes, but to get the feel of it is quite tricky. All right, so if I play it for you, you'll see why. So it goes. You see, it doesn't start on the beat as well. So you kind of need to get a groove with this one. So it's the notes are simple. It's starting on the 4th string at the 8th fret, and what you're doing is you're doing a hammer on. So you're picking once and then hammering onto the 10th fret on the 4th string. So you're going like that. So pick it once, then hammer on. You need to do a really big whack onto the 10th fret. When I say whack, I mean that you need to press it down. Then you go to the 8th fret on the 3rd string, and then go back to the 10th fret of the 4th string. So you're going 8, 10, 8, 10, and then you finish it off with the 8th fret on the 3rd string. They are detached. Yeah, so hammer on. And you're repeating that pattern 3 times. So you're going. And then the last bit, you start off the same. So you're going 8, 10, hammer on the 4th string, 8 on the 3rd, 10 on the 4th. Now this next bit is quick. So what you're going to use, it goes like this. It goes. Like that. So you finished off with your 3rd finger on the 10th fret. So you're going to take that 3rd finger down a string, and then you're going to slide up to the 10th fret, the 12th fret on the 3rd string. So from the 10 on the 3rd to the 12th on the 3rd. So you're going like that. Then you've got to do a quick, bring that 3rd finger back, and you're going to go 10, 8 on the 3rd string. So it's a pull off this time. And then you finish off on the 10th fret on the 4th. So it's quite quick that. So it goes. So again. Alright, so if I put that little section together. Alright, then you can see these double dots. We've already counted this on another piece, and the double dots means you just repeat that whole section again. Then after that, you do 2 more bars of the riff we've just done. So you're going 8, 10. Do that twice, and then we go back to this octave shape. The 8th on the 4th, 11th on the 2nd, and you're playing 2 bars of it. So you're doing 4 lots of 2 twice. And then we've got some more musical jargon to get through. At the end of the second page, it says di sign al fine. It's an Italian term, so it means what you do is you go from the end of there and you go back to the sign. Now the sign is at section B, so the B in the box, which is the chorus section. And what you do is you play through the chorus section until you find the word fine or fine, which means end in Italian, which is just before we get to section C. So you're effectively playing a repeat of the chord. So what I mean by that, if I take the last 4 bars before we get to the dies al fine, which is where we've got this, go back to the sign. We're doing the chorus. That nice chord. And then the octaves. And that's the song. So this song is long, it's tricky. You have to be pretty competent with your chord playing to get this. I mean, getting the kind of the feel of it is not massively the most important thing in terms of doing all the little rhythmical stuff that I'm doing underneath. That comes with time. You don't just learn that overnight. But it's a lot of kind of, you have to be doing tap dances with your fingers to get this right. But again, like I said, this is more based around the more competent guitar player. This is grade 3, 4, 5 sort of style standard people. So don't be doing this if you're a brand new beginner. And again, it will take time. You will have to spend a lot of time working it. So what I'll do now is I will play the whole thing with the track so you can see how it fits all together. So that's the song. Like I said, tricky. Lots of interesting bits you have to play along to with that. Not an easy tune to play, but actually that's where we're kind of working towards. If you're not competent enough or don't feel confident enough to play that yet, it gives you an idea in the future where you should be in terms of standard wise. What I would suggest, a couple of suggestions to make the job learning it easier is to, like I always say, break it down into sections. Section A, Section B, put them together. Section C, make sure you can play each section on their own and then try putting them together. Because the worst thing in the world is being able to play one section but then not being able to play into the next section. What I would also suggest is maybe listening to the original track to get you an idea of the kind of the flow of the song, where it goes. I mean, whilst this is a shortened version of that, it gives you an idea of the kind of the rhythmical kind of thing that goes through the song, and it's a great song. Bruno Mars is brilliant. Just one little fact is that Bruno Mars actually plays most of the instruments on this song, so the guitar part you're probably hearing is him playing it, and he's a very competent guitar player, as you might know already. So see how you get on with this. Have a go. If there's any songs you want me to go through, any particular styles of songs, I might even do like a solo, how to improvise over backing tracks tutorial in the coming. But if there's anything you desperately want to learn, just let school know. They'll pass it my way, and I'll see how I get on. But till next time, have fun and stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.